There are strange things out there that seem to have no explanation. Sometimes they are conjured up by the darkest corners of our subconscious, but on occasion they dwell beyond the confines of our imagination. They may come from another realm, or out of the sky, or from beyond the grave. Once they set foot into our world, the line between dreams and reality becomes unclear. It's our job to investigate these reports and compile the Virginia Paranormal case files.
Kelly Kaplan gave me a call, and she's been checking in on the studio since we've been in quarantine, and she said, Edie, the piano music is in the hot room and it's blaring and there's no source at all for the piano music. And the surge protector was off and it was now on. And I said, well, somebody had been in here. Go back in the salt room and check around the building, make sure we don't have any water leaks, because we had a flood back in 2017. And we just need to make sure everything's okay since we've been closed for so long. And she came back in the salt room, and these two panels here were on yellow. The sound machine was on soothe, and it had been turned off completely. So I went down the list of all our teachers, anybody that had a key, and I said, have you been in here? Everybody denied it. So my husband and I came in. We went to watch the video to see who had been in and who was lying to me. So we went up there. We have to climb on the counter, go through some codes. It's not an easy thing. I'm the only one with the password to the camera. And on the 21st at 1:03, the video had stopped. It stopped recording completely. And it did not turn back on until the 24th at 12 a.m. And the 24th was the day that Kelly had came in and she discovered all of this. So we've had some other activity in the studio. We've heard things during the day. A lot of electronics go haywire certain times. Computers go down, printers go down, the phones go down. But this one was one that I figured, you know what, this is a little bit much. Let's go ahead and call somebody to have them come investigate us. So here we are.
So for this investigation, one thing we want to consider is the possibility of the EMFs being high, how they often affect people, and the carbon monoxide. We can probably write that out for this investigation because we typically measure for those in cases where people are seeing things and hearing things that may not necessarily be there. In this case, we have more physical evidence. We have the cameras that were turned off. We have this music that was on blaring. Something actually took this control and turned on all these lights in this room. So it's not something that's affecting a person, causing them to see things or hear things. There's something here that is obviously making these come on, be it natural or paranormal. We do still want to consider the EMF levels though, because, can I open this door?
Sure.
If we go into here, this is the storage room. Right over here on the wall is the panel, okay, for the shopping center. So the EMF levels are definitely going to be high here, and we are going to measure them. But this would be a perfect place for a spirit to manifest. Theoretically, spirits get their energy from electromagnetic fields. So with the field, the high field that's in this area, it would be the perfect place to give that spirit enough energy to actually do all these things, to perhaps manipulate these devices.
This is the women's bathroom. Here's the frog that was given to me by one of our clients has passed. And this is the sink that myself and one of my staff members have come in and seen it running without anybody being back here. It's just been turned on.
And of course, we've heard this happen before with motion activated sinks, but it's rare with this one because it's not motion activated. So something literally had to take this handle here and turn it on. And I mean, it's not like it's gonna move on its own. You know? So it's interesting.
Yeah. And then we have showers, 2 showers back here. So we have water back here. And then we also have the men's bathroom with 2 showers in here as well.
Has the faucets turned on in the men's bathroom as well? No.
Just that one sink.
What I'm gonna do is just flush the toilet to see if that has any effect on the sink, so we can rule that out. Now I know that still, obviously the toilet would have to flush even if it does do something. But it doesn't, no effect on the sink, so.
How easy is it to turn these handles?
It takes a little
hard.
bit.
Yeah, not extremely
I mean,
hard.
they're
but
not
it
gonna
is-
turn on their own.
No,
You know,
no, definitely not.
so.
So this is the video camera, and I literally have to climb up on the counter. This should be on. So get that in a minute. And this is normally on. This goes off a lot. And you can see the 3. So here's for the back, Paul here, here's for the front. So you can see anybody walking into the yoga room from the back, you can see down the hall, and you can see 2 different angles from the front. And to get into this, I always have to play with it.
Who's that guy standing there holding that camera?
Yeah, I don't know. All right, this is the playback as soon as it comes up. And see the calendar with all the orange? If we go back to April, the 22nd and 23rd are white. The video stopped on the 21st. So if I click on the 21st, it only recorded to 103. So you can see it, and then I scrolled across here, and it was like right here. Oh, where'd it go? What happened? So it stopped at 103 in the afternoon, and these white squares here means it didn't record. There's nothing here on this day and nothing here on this day, and it started again on the 24th.
And that was the morning.
The 24th was the morning she came in and checked.
And that's when the music was playing and the lights were on.
Music. And I would have seen somebody come in and step up here.
Right, to
Yeah.
turn off the camera.
And there's, to delete it, you saw everything I had to do to get in here.
Right.
It's not easy.
Viewing the camera footage from the surveillance system, and the time that it stopped, it wasn't a normal time that, you know, if a surveillance system is set to record for a day, it would stop at midnight. This stopped at 1:02 in the afternoon, so a random time for it just to cut out. Now you see she has to come in and climb up on the counter to start this thing or to access it. So even if somebody had come in and deleted the video of them coming in, we still would have seen them leaving because the system came back on. So when they turned the system back on, we would have seen that person leave. Now, one thing that's interesting is there's 2 cameras here, the one that you see above the system and one in the hallway. At the same time, those 2 have a glitch in them that almost looks like the kind of glitch that you would see on the old school surveillance systems where the screen goes down and comes back into place, but this camera stays the same. I've never seen that with the digital surveillance system. Could you see that through the camera there? Zoom in on that so you can see what we're talking about. You're looking at the top right and the bottom. See, there's
Oh.
a glitch.
Yeah.
There's no gap in the time,
Huh.
so
Strange.
something's definitely interfering with the electronics around here, and we can't nail it down to a person because we feel like they'd be on the surveillance system.
This is all hardwired. It's not Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. It's all hardwired. So I can't go on my phone at home and see anybody or anything going on in the studio.
It's interesting that this camera footage is gone because it seems like a lot of times these spirits don't want to be seen. And there's a lot of cases where people go into a haunted place, and I've seen it firsthand, and they'll come out and the memory card will be corrupt. Not everything, they'll review the footage while they're there. Oh, I caught this picture, or I caught this video clip. They'll come out, put it in their computer, and it's either gone, it's erased, like there's a gap in the numbers on the little files, or it's just corrupt, it won't play.
Wow.
So it's almost like sometimes they seem to cover their trails, if that makes sense.
Wow.
We wanted to test the theory, Linda and I, if someone maybe from a nearby building or from outside accidentally connected to the Bluetooth and they were playing their own music or something like that. So I went ahead and checked my phone, and up here, those are my previously connected things. There's nothing that comes up here that I can connect to. So I can't even connect to their Bluetooth system that they have. And strangely enough, also, I have no cell phone signal in here, really at all. So if someone wasn't able to connect to it, someone wasn't able to call into it or do anything with it. And same thing with the security cameras, they can't access it because it's not connected to any Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, or anything.
Like, see, it's a 3.1 right here in front of this refrigerator.
Yeah, and that could
It
be.
goes up as we lift it up a little further. But yeah, the refrigerator. Which I guess makes sense because if it is EMF levels that these things are able to manipulate or able to feed off of to manipulate something, it could manipulate that, you know, so
Right.
something right close to a source. Let's check the rest of the area. 0.6, 4.8, 5.2. Now it's going back down. 2.8. 4.5.
Temperature in here is about 66 degrees. The lowest is 63.
Over here. It's down to a 1.6 around here. 2 near this radio thing. Let's check the mailbox back here. 1.9. Yeah, I mean, once you put it right up against the panel box, it bounces up to about a 4.2. But it's got to be like right there. So really not that incredibly high, not as high as we were seeing in the hallway for some reason. It's really high in the hallway.
But even it being at like a 2 is pretty high. That's higher than
It
a
is.
residential place that we've been to.
Like, yeah, because I don't know that I've ever seen this go up to 5. It's a 6.2 sitting right up here against this light behind this wall.
It's pretty high.
It is pretty high.
This room would be a prime area
It
for
would be.
something to manifest.
Yeah, it definitely would.
But it doesn't do it there.
Doesn't do it here.
It's just that one.
And that's the back wall, that's the exterior wall.
Yeah.
Well, we're back, look at that, 9.8, 9.9 right here. Holy mackerel. That is really
That's higher than
high.
the electrical box.
That is really high.
Keep in mind though, certain minerals can give off these EMFs.
They can, usually it's the iron though, isn't it?
Usually limestone.
Limestone gives it off?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what all might be contained in Himalayan salt, but the weird thing is that it's only certain ones.
Right.
You know, it's not like, this one is only a 2.6, which is still considered a little bit high. But certain ones, like this one just looks a little bit brighter to me, which is why I was kind of drawn over to it.
But it would bring up the question too, why are certain ones charged? Like if you think about limestone, for example, a regular piece of limestone may not give off any field.
Right.
But if one does have some kind of an impression on it or is charged,
Yeah.
then it will give off the field.
Yeah, or if one just has a higher, contains a higher amount of that particular mineral that gives it off anyways, naturally. But that one there's an 11.
Do you want me to change the colors?
I wonder if that would have any effect on it.
Be interesting to try.
Yeah, let's just to see.
Will you be able to see if I turn the lights off? Because this is how we normally...
Sure, yeah.
This is when we do yoga in here, and
Mhm.
people walk out of this room going, you can feel the energy when you walk from this room out in the hall.
Mm-hmm.
It shifts.
It's very relaxing in here.
Yes.
The humidity jumped up to 80%.
Yeah.
This is my favorite.
This is
Okay,
nice.
so just out of curiosity, let's go back to the same place. It's still just as high as it was before. I mean, I'm up to a 10.5 right here, and that's not even over the LED lights that are there.
What's behind this door? What's
What's
this?
behind this? This is cinder block, a cinder block wall, and lights are plugged in up here.
Oh, they're just little LED lights
Yeah,
too.
they're just LED lights.
So they shouldn't be giving it up. It's got to be the rock or something that's actually on the other side of that
It's
wall.
a
Yeah.
cinder, and then out the back is just back here in the parking lot.
Although it could be electrical.
Let me go take a look out there if you don't mind. So we're looking out behind the place here.
All the electrical stuff is not.
That's crazy.
The electrical wires go kind of high.
Yeah.
There's something in the wall where that light is, but
But that particular spot wouldn't be given that high of a reading.
It's on the other side.
where is it? Down about here?
Down here.
Window. You were on the other side of the window.
Yeah, I think we were over where this downspout is.
Ah, there we go. That could be it right there. That could be coming through.
That's their spot. My spot's on this side of the spout.
What is that reading there though?
1.7.
That's it?
Yeah, I mean, this is coaxial cable. This isn't going to carry much anyways. And then I think this is gas,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. I think that's...
And nothing over, come to the back side of the wall about where we
I
were.
can't tell what that is.
We're over here because here's the window, that short panel, and then we're probably about
So we were right about here. See about there, Linda, see what it gets.
Right about here.
here.
Yeah.
Too.
Oh, so it's,
It's in, yeah. Of course, the LED strips are connected to electrical work, so if it's an electrical problem, it could be still the LED lights giving it off. You know what I mean? LEDs don't normally give off as high as say a regular halogen bulb or, you know, the incandescent bulbs. Is what
yeah,
I'm
but I
trying to
haven't
say,
seen an
but-
incandescent bulb give off that amount.
No, but even the recessed lighting, they say recessed lighting tends to give off a lot, like those pot lights,
Right.
sometimes they call them, tends to give off high EMFs, and those are still, you know, like somewhat normal bulbs. And something smells really good out here, like fried chicken.
Yeah, I'm
does.
starving.
It's probably Chick-fil-A.
What is that?
That's why.
Yeah, jeez.
And then, so we can change, this one might be interesting. So we can change colors. We can have them changing.
Oh, that's neat.
This is awesome.
But see, this is like,
I think that's got to be the rock. And I say that because if there's something electrical in this wall that's giving off a 12 milligauss field, you're going to pick up more than a 1 directly behind this wall.
Well-
the cinder block isn't going to contain the EMF field.
right, but I think this is worth a little bit of research after we leave. And I say that because I would like to determine if what is inside Himalayan salt, what it actually might be contained in there, but also if a block of Himalayan salt could magnify EMFs somehow.
Oh,
You see what I mean? Like maybe it's acting like a magnifier, because I can't imagine that these LED lights are this high in and of themselves.
No possible way.
But in
No.
front, but with this block in front of it, these Himalayan salt blocks, I mean, we're up to 12 in some places.
Yeah.
So I think it would be well worth looking into that to determine if it could magnify it or,
But either way, whatever's causing it, I mean, this room's another room.
yeah.
That'd be a primary place.
Right. Now keep in mind that with EMFs, the farther away from it you get, the lower it gets. So like right out here, I'm already down to about a 4.8. As you come out to the center of the room, 2.5. So even just 4 feet away from the block wall, you're already down to somewhat normal levels.
So it's very concentrated.
It is very concentrated around those walls.
So according to experts for Himalayan salt, it says that it can even neutralize electromagnetic radiation.
Well, that's weird.
Yeah. So it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be giving off any.
No, because that's the whole point of it.
Right.
You know, you want to be in a relaxing environment, and it kind of eliminates the ions in the air, and so it shouldn't be giving it off.
So it shouldn't, yeah. There's really not a normal reason for this. But if that's the case, it makes me wonder if the LED lights behind this are actually giving off a vastly higher number of EMFs than what we're actually detecting here.
I would still think, though, if they were giving off that amount, it wouldn't be contained by the cinder block. You'd be able to go around back and get at least half of that.
Right, but cinder block and concrete are good insulators. So it might deaden it a little bit, but I still can't, I mean, it's cinder block with brick in front of it.
Right.
So you've got two fairly thick layers of material there that are made to be good insulators. So,
Yeah, but not for electricity, though. I mean, electricity can travel through that,
I
right?
don't know. Even
And we're
electrical.
not talking about like an electrical surge. We're talking about a field.
Right.
Like a radiating field.
But the field will be stopped by certain things, or will be dampened, I guess, by certain things. But I still,
Same over here.
let's see.
That's not all the outside walls.
See, so I don't think it can be the LED lights. And LED themselves give off very low levels.
It would be consistent all around if that was the case.
I wonder if there's something about the cinder block being behind it that is almost reflecting that.
Now this is cinder
Back.
block behind this wall too.
Is it really?
Yeah, yeah.
See, so that doesn't make sense.
This whole wall goes from here all the way back and it's all cinder block.
Huh. So I noticed when we came down the hallway the first time going into the Himalayan salt room that there was an extremely high level of EMFs here, and we've determined that this is the source. Now watch the reading here. 3655. That's not 5.5, guys. That's what,
Yeah, it is.
Is it?
Yeah.
But look, it went down there.
Oh,
Look.
now that's...
See that?
Yeah, that's 89.
Yeah.
90, yeah.
I mean, and look, it blanks out right there.
Wow.
It just completely, it's like, nope, can't do it anymore. And it just quits. So.
Now I have another one of those back in the hall here. I wonder if it will do the same thing.
Let's try it. Yeah, none of these are high.
Right down
Right
there by, there you go.
Oh yeah. Those are giving off massive amounts of EMFs. But only when you're, of course, when you're down there
Yeah, it's
at
very
it.
concentrated.
See, you get down here and it's
Yeah.
only down to 3. So this
See,
really
out here,
wouldn't-
it's not bothering
Yeah.
anybody. Yeah.
Just like a microwave.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so-
exactly.
And that's not going to affect anybody. Once
Don't
you
put your head
face
against
up
it.
Yeah. For long periods of time. Yeah, but I haven't checked around. Maybe we ought to go into this room and see. Yeah, we have a surge suppressor down here. No high levels at all here. It's a little bit high. Whoa, that surge suppressor right there is really high. That's up to 22.5, 23. But back when you get to about here, it's down to 2.5 again.
Yeah, that's good. It's definitely protecting some surge, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's a little high in this corner, 3.9.
That's a massage table back there. That's the door to nowhere.
Yeah, there's nothing.
The door to nowhere.
Expect to get much in the bathroom.
There you go. You just gotta make sure it's steady on the ground because it will slide.
Okay.
These look too comfortable. You get me in
Yeah.
these things, it might not get me
Out
out.
of this thing, it looks like it reclines.
It does.
Oh,
Already.
that might have been the chair there, I don't know.
No, there's no
No,
way the
maybe
chair to
not.
set that off.
Breeze, maybe?
Is it me?
Mm-mm.
Nope, let's move this away.
No, you have to get pretty close to that thing for it to go off.
Okay, so we gotta lighten up. Something's lighting it up.
Hello.
What's the humidity in here?
You're scaring it, Edie.
I haven't looked at it.
Well, you can come back.
Because I think this room has the highest humidity.
39%. All right, I'm Jeff.
Will.
I'm Linda.
And what we want to do is we're here because we're trying to find out who's back here. Aside from the 5 of us who are here, we want to know who else is here. As you may have seen, if you come near that device, it will light up with a green light, letting us know that you are here. And we can use that to ask you some questions. And if you try to talk to us, we may be able to pick up your voice on that tape recorder.
Tape recorder?
Digital voice recorder.
I was gonna say you're stuck in the 80s there.
Kelly, you want to shut the door?
Okay, so what's interesting is that light was going off quite a few times when we set it up, and now it's silent. If you are here, can you come and make that red light turn green just by coming near that little cylinder device that's on the floor there? Once again, we're only here to find out if you have a message, if there's something you want, or if there's something we can do to help you. If you're okay with talking to us, will you come near that device, please?
We have some birds outside.
If you'd rather not talk to us right now, can you light that up for us? That definitely sounds like a cat.
It does sound like a cat. Is that your stomach or is that Will's?
That's not mine. I will say though, as for a possibility with this REM pod, sometimes when there is a change in the humidity, it will trigger it, like Will said.
Yeah.
And now, looking at this after it's had time to acclimate, it's 72, the humidity is 72%. Out there was only 34%. So it may have been, like you said,
Yeah.
just the initial
It's
setup.
just adjusting to it.
Mhm.
It's
Just moisture on
interesting,
the
this
tip.
room is that humid.
This little black box with the red light on it, if you talk into that, we may be able to hear you. Could you try telling us your name? Could you tell us why this radio was turned on? Did you used to be a customer that came to this place?
If you did used to come here, can you name anyone in this room?
This is some pretty cool lighting in here. I have to say, it's almost like investigating in a disco. because of the changing LED lights.
Right.
It's weird because if you stare at the walls enough, they look like they're sort of breathing
Yeah.
with the change in
Yeah.
the.
Yeah.
Wow.
I wonder if it has a favorite color.
I don't know. I'm sure it probably does.
Yellow. Do you like the yellow the best? My favorite's the blue.
I'm still hearing some very light clicks over there. I don't know if that's the same thing you were hearing before.
Do you like this room or the hot room better?
We're setting up for a spirit box session here, see if we get any responses through the radio. Linda's listening through the radio through headphones, so she won't hear our questions. She won't be biased at all to what she hears coming through. And we have the speaker going here so we can record what she's hearing as well. If there's anybody here with us and you can use this device to talk to us, could you try telling us your name? Could you tell us who's been affecting the electricity in this room? We're trying to figure out what your favorite color is. If you tell us your favorite color, we can set all these panels to that color. Yellow? Was it yellow? Is that the color it was?
That's what I thought. Did it say yes?
No, was that the color of the panels?
Yeah.
When you found them?
Yeah. Oh, God.
That's interesting. I mean, she said it sounded like it ended in an O.
I heard yellow.
Unless you go with some kind of crazy colors, and the only one I can think of that ends in an O is yellow. It's not really an O, it's like OW, but like the sound is an O sound, right?
Do you want me to turn it to yellow?
If we turn the color to yellow, will you be more willing to talk to us?
We will be.
That one, it's the same voice though.
Let's try it. We're gonna try turning it to yellow. That's the color that it was when they came in and found all this stuff on. It was yellow. So.
I like it, but yellow. It's like fire.
The red's really cool too.
So we turned it to yellow. Would you please tell us your name?
David?
Huh?
David, and then I've got yellow.
So when we first got into this room, the REM pod was going off randomly. And it seemed to us that it happened because of the change in humidity. So what Jeff has decided to do is take the REM pod into the other room beforehand so that way it adjusts to it. But while we were in here, we asked a few questions, and occasionally, right after we would ask that question, the REM pod would go off as if in response to that question. Not only that, but when we tried doing the radio and switching through the different frequencies, at one point I believe everyone here heard a definite yellow when asked, which color lights do you like? So then once they said yellow, we changed all of the lights to yellow to see if we can be able to get more responses. It seemed after that we didn't get any more direct responses to any questions that we asked in particular. Instead, we just heard random words and phrases that could correlate with some of the things that we were talking about.
During the session, I remember the name David coming through. Now, the investigation that we had last night, the client's name was David, so I almost wondered if I was a little bit biased. But, of course, Jeff said that it was actually a response, a perfect response to the question that he had asked. So that makes it a little less likely that it would just be me kind of, subconsciously conjuring up this name from last night. In addition to that, we had the REM pod sitting on the floor at one point and asked if it was somebody who had once lived nearby, and the REM pod lit up very soon afterwards. So I'm theorizing that this could be just a passing spirit. It could be somebody that had passed away that lived in one of the houses nearby. Perhaps he likes this yoga studio, and who knows whether he goes and visits some of the other stores in the shopping center.
Also interesting to note, we heard what sounded like roses come through. And this did used to be a floral shop.
That's right.
The response wasn't direct to the question, or maybe it was. I said, what's your favorite room to go to in this building? And it said roses. So maybe it was relating roses being in a particular room in that shop or something like that, and it loved the smell of rose. We don't know. But it's just interesting that was one of the definite words that came through, or so it seemed. So, and also, like Will mentioned, we heard the color yellow, and that's the color these panels were. They left, they turned them off. They were last set to pink, the color they are now. And when they came in, they were yellow, those two panels over there. So, we're in the hot room. This is where they do yoga, and with high temperatures, they keep it hot, loosens up the muscles, and it's very invigorating from what I hear. Though I've never tried yoga, I'm not quite that flexible. I have a hard enough time trying to stretch when it comes to running and touching my toes. But there's quite an echo in here, as you can hear. Reverb, I should say. This will be interesting for an EVP session. It really will, because you have to consider a lot of the devices that they use involve technology that has to do with echo and feedback and getting responses. So it'll be neat to try that with the natural ambience of the room. I'm Jeff.
I'm Linda.
And we'd like to know, aside from the 5 of us that are here, is there anybody else in this room? We have that black and red cylinder with the red light on it. If you come near that, the light will turn to green and let us know that you're here. Can you come near that device for us, please?
Noise travels really well in this room. Could you make any kind of noise for us to let us know that you are here?
Did you have me that?
Was it a blink?
No, it sounded almost like a
Yeah, I did hear that. Was that it sounded like an engine or something? Almost.
Yeah, no, it sounded like a groan.
Yeah, like yeah. Yeah, it was over here somewhere.
Yeah.
So if that
We've dimmed the lights and we're going to play the music because the music was on. This was one of the radios that was on. So perhaps whatever spirit may be here is intrigued by this music. Now at the same time, Linda's going to listen through the spirit box to see if we get any responses.
If there's anybody here with us, could you try using this device that Linda is holding to talk through? We're wondering if you could tell us your name.
Could you tell us your name?
Do you like this music that's playing? Is there somebody here named David?
So it was really quiet inside the hot room, and we were kind of surprised. We expected to hear more coming through the spirit box, whether it be radio stations or speech of some kind, but we really didn't hear anything. And the few things that I did hear that came through very quiet. So quiet, in fact, that I couldn't really understand what they were saying. So we're going to come back here into this back hallway area. As you can see, right behind us is the bathroom. That's the ladies' bathroom where the water turns on by itself every so often. So we felt like maybe this area, maybe there might be a little bit of a different flow of energy through here, and perhaps we might get some responses.
All right, I'm Jeff.
Linda?
No, well.
And we're here to find out who else, aside from the five of us, may be here. We know that the water's been turned on at one of the sinks back here. And we're trying to find out if you may have a message. We have a little black box with a red light on it that may be able to pick up your voice if you talk. And this other device with the red and black device with the red light, if you come near that, the light will turn green. Could you try to tell us your name, please?
Are you a male? Are you a female? Do you like us being here?
Me sniffling. Are you trying to tell Edie something?
Did you turn off the cameras, the surveillance cameras, for 2 days? Do you know who did?
Now why would that start going off all of a sudden?
You want to talk to us?
What's the humidity and temperature right now?
35 and
Is the battery dying?
wonder if the battery's dying. Because it doesn't usually do that. That's abnormal.
Yeah, I haven't seen him do that either.
Yeah.
With the right in the ground.
Oh, Kelly, can you just turn mine off?
Try putting your hand there. See if it.
Did it
I think the
die?
battery, I think the battery died.
There it goes.
Yeah, it just petered out. Look at that.
Huh.
So I guess we know what to expect when the battery dies on this thing.
My name is Will.
I'm Jeff. This is Linda with the headphones on here. Could you try telling her your name?
Harley?
Could you tell us how old you are?
Careful.
Maybe careful? Something careful?
What should we be careful of?
Could you tell us why the cameras stopped recording for 2 days?
Almost sounded like Gabriel.
Do you know who turned on the sink in the women's bathroom? Are you here with us right now? Good night.
Something 90.
I said behind you.
Looks more like a rose than it does a locust. How does she say it?
I don't know. Because I was wondering, like, if you put the two things together like roses,
Yeah.
and then behind you, what Will just heard.
Is this a picture of a rose? Do you like the picture?
So at first it sounded like we were hearing a lot coming through the spirit box, and some of it was radio stations. Some of it could have been responses, but then it just kind of fizzled out. And I'm not exactly sure if any of the responses that I said had in any way related to the questions that were being asked, but they seemed very random, seemed very strange and random. So I'm not sure. It seemed kind of quiet back here in the hallway.
Did think it was interesting. Back when we were in the not the hot room, but when we were in the salt room, happened to mention roses or rose, and right behind us there's a painting. It's supposed to be a lotus, but I could see how you could misinterpret that as a rose. And so when we asked, what did you like about this place, or which room did you like, it said rose. So maybe instead of it talking about the florist that used to be here, instead it's talking about this painting of what could be a rose. At one point, when we were asking questions, it sounded like it said behind you. So that's why Jeff turned around and I asked her, what's the significance of this painting? And she said that those hands are all the hands of the people that were here when the place first opened.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm Jeff.
Linda?
And well?
And we're out here, we want to know what happened with the cameras, with these surveillance cameras up here. Was turned off for 2 days, and you heard a noise from back there?
did.
What was that? It was like a shifting noise or something?
It was like a click.
Yeah.
What's the color of the lights?
Looks pink.
Should be yellow.
You're asking the wrong person.
Well, when you first walk in, it does kind of look pink.
No, it's yellow.
Is it yellow?
Yeah, it's yellow.
You turned off the surveillance cameras. Is that because you don't want to be seen or heard? What are you doing in this yoga studio?
We do have voices outside, cars.
Have you gone to a yoga class here?
Welcome to the evidence room. This was definitely one of our more interesting investigations, I should say, because it's not like investigating a typical residence.
Right.
We're investigating a business. And it was a unique opportunity to get into a place like that.
Yes.
Especially during this time. It was during the quarantine.
Right.
Towards the end of the quarantine. So you know the place had been vacant for some time.
For a long time.
And
yeah.
of course, this may be a prime time for spirits to come out.
Absolutely.
A lot of times with the traffic of people going in and out of a place, they may kind of stay suppressed.
Right.
Once it's vacant for some time, they may feel like they have a little more freedom and come out into the place.
That's exactly right, yes.
Now I got to say, while we were there, it didn't seem like anything was by any means harmful.
No,
There were no
no.
uneasy feelings. It was a very comfortable place, a really cool place.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. All those colored lights in the Himalayan salt room, and then this massive echo that you get through the hot yoga room. You know,
Yes.
all of that kind of added to the ambiance.
Right, and I liked that echo because some people might say, oh, you can't hear and this, that, and the other thing. But this was almost like a natural device.
Right. Exactly.
It's almost like a device that they would make, like an echo box or something like that.
Yeah.
And we didn't need it because of that room. So it was kind of cool to talk, hear the echo trail off.
It was.
And with all those vibrations and such, one of the theories that we've heard is that perhaps spirits can use the vibrations in our voice or sound vibrations as it is
That's
to
right.
communicate. So in a room such as that, where these sound waves are just bouncing off the walls,
Yeah.
might have been a pretty good place for spirits to be able to communicate with
Right.
us. Something got in there. Something manipulated this video camera. We tried to come up with every possible explanation that we could as to why this video camera cut off at a certain time, started at a certain time,
Right.
without any power outage.
Yeah.
Even with a power outage, there is no reason that this should have happened.
No, and especially with that strange little glitch that occurred in two of the cameras, not all of them throughout the building, but only two of the cameras, you know, in two different locations.
Right.
That was a little bit strange.
It kind of reminded me of a scary movie when you see the,
Yeah.
you see the camera in the garage and it kind of glitches and then you see somebody
Yeah.
on there, but we didn't see
Yeah.
anybody on there. But it was definitely pretty cool.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at some of the audio evidence that we got. Now,
Okay.
when you introduce these clips, don't say what you hear. I
Right.
haven't had a chance to listen to these clips yet. So at the same time, I'm going to be listening to them for the first time.
Right.
And see if I can kind of discern what Linda was hearing in the clips.
Okay. Well, we started out, of course, in the Himalayan salt room, And like I said before, this was one of the really cool places inside the building. All of the lights and all of the sort of ambiance of it was just really serene, kind of relaxing and calm. It was a perfect setting for an EVP session because I believe that the Himalayan salt bricks acted somewhat as an insulator against the noise from the outside world. It was very quiet in there, and the clients were very quiet, and it was just perfect situation to be able to pick up some EVPs. And that's exactly what we did. We actually picked up a couple of EVPs while we were in there. One of them right when we first started our session.
All right, let's hear it.
Okay.
So that clip right there, I heard the voice without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Couple of things that I thought it might have said.
Right. Yeah.
What did you hear?
Well, it was kind of hard to tell. The very end of it was a lot harder to discern than the beginning. And it sounded like it said to me, lots of fear in him or lots of fear in it. It was kind of hard, like I say, to figure it out. The first part, lots of, and then you hear the sound that sounds like fear. But then the last part is a little less discernible. So perhaps people can tell us what they think.
I heard that lots of.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't make out the word after it though.
Yeah. Now, the second one was also in the Himalayan salt room. And this was a direct response to one of our questions. One of the investigators said, "Can you tell us your name?" And again, it's an EVP as opposed to a spirit box response. And this one is a little quieter, a little harder to hear, but you will hear it in here not long after we ask the question.
Could you try telling us your name?
So the first thing you hear is like footsteps, almost
Right.
like running footsteps.
I heard that. I heard a couple of things in there. It's
Right.
like sound.
Yeah, but what's funny is that we didn't hear this at the time that we were conducting the EVP session.
Right.
You
Because
know,
we
it was,
tagged everything that we heard.
We did, yeah. Even the bird that was outside the back wall, you know,
Yeah.
that you could hear chirping, we tagged that. But you hear those couple of footsteps, and then you hear a very quiet voice come in. Now, did you hear the voice at all?
I heard the voice towards the end there.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea what it said from this vantage point though.
I'm pretty sure that it said Lucas.
And was this in response to a question?
Yes, that was the question. What is your name?
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Can you tell us your name is what somebody said. And I think it might have been you. Can you tell us your name? And then you hear those footsteps and then sounded like Lucas. So another interesting response, specifically because it is a response to a direct question that we had asked. So the next one that we have here actually comes out of the hot yoga room. And this is, again, one of those voices that comes through, not extremely loud, so you may have to turn up the volume to be able to hear it. But I did clip out that little section of audio so that people could hear it. Now what you're hearing with these past two is kind of like an echoed, distant voice.
I heard like a swipe at the beginning of it.
Yeah, the swipe at the beginning was the beginning of, it was actually the end of somebody's echoing voice. I think it was yours, trailing off. And that's where I had clipped it. You know, when you speak in there, it echoes for quite a while afterwards. So it was
Right.
just the very end of that. But the sound that I'm talking about actually comes about halfway through. And again, this was one of those answers to a direct question. Someone had said, "Is there anyone in here with us? Anyone else in here with us?" And what it sounded like it says is Richie. Now, completely different from Lucas, of course.
Right.
Richie could be a last name, Lucas Richie, Richie Lucas, who knows? Or it could be a completely separate spirit altogether.
Could be multiple.
But nonetheless, It's interesting to keep in mind too that the whole time that we were there, we never heard any other voices from any of the adjoining shopping center locations.
Right. It was very quiet.
It was silent. The only time we ever heard voices was when we were in the very front lobby at the very end of our investigation.
Right, and it was people outside through the glass.
Yeah. That's the only time you could
But back
hear
in those
anything.
rooms, there was nothing.
Yeah, you couldn't hear anything. You couldn't hear anything. So again, kind of interesting given that. Now, the next one is kind of a strange one, specifically because this is the only female voice that we picked up. Again, it's very distant, very echoey, and it's kind of hard to tell what it's saying, but I'll play that for you now.
I do hear that female's voice.
Yeah,
it sounds
maybe-
almost like a cough.
It was actually more than a cough, it was a voice. When you put the headphones on, you're listening to it through there, it's actually a sentence. It's,
Really?
Yeah, it's 3 words, and it sounds like she says, he's hurting me, or you stop hurting me, or you're hurting me. That first word is the hardest to understand. But the word hurting is what comes through the loudest in there. And this was not really a direct response to any question. It just kind of came randomly while we were inside that yoga room. And the hot yoga room is also in the very center of the building. There are no exterior walls in that yoga room. So it's kind of one of those mysteries as to where it would have come from. No way it could have come from one of the adjoining businesses.
So a couple of interesting EVPs that we got at the hot yoga studio. Now remember, we ran the spirit box as well,
Yes.
as was in the video, and some interesting stuff maybe here and there, that possible responses that came through the spirit box.
Right.
Of course, with the spirit box, it could be radio chatter, but there were some that were interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Now, given the report of the music playing when this woman came to check in on the location, and the lights being turned to the yellow color, we did get some responses through the spirit box that actually related to that. One of them was a very direct answer. Somebody had said, is this your favorite color? What is your favorite color? And it had said yellow. Now, at the time, this was actually heard by everybody that was there. I had the headphones on, and I was listening to the spirit box through the headphones. You guys were still sitting in the Himalayan salt room there, and were listening, and I said yellow or something, and you guys said, oh, it sounded like yellow. So, you know, that was kind of interesting that everybody picked it up. It was actually quite clear.
Right.
Now, there were a couple of instances where we thought we heard things, and one of the investigators or one of the clients would say something that they thought that it said, but it was actually not that. In one of these instances, we thought that it said you did. Like the client had asked something about, you know, do you know this particular female? And she was a client of theirs that had passed away. And we thought that it said you did, but it actually said music.
Oh.
So, you know, and I felt like that might be worth mentioning because of the fact, like I said, we're sitting in the room where it had this music all of a sudden playing.
Right, the music,
you know.
the yellow lights, the lights turned to yellow.
Yeah. So there were a few times like that for a spirit box. The spirit box was a little bit hard to hear in the hot yoga room because of the echo.
Right.
So I couldn't be certain about some of the things because I couldn't tell whether it was an investigator's voice. So I felt like some of that I needed to
Yeah,
possibly
just gotta throw
leave
it out.
out. Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Well, we did this investigation during the daylight hours because, contrary to popular belief, there are a lot of times that spirits seem to come out during the day.
Right.
So there's evidence,
Yeah.
possible evidence, that
Right.
that is true. They
Yeah.
do come out during the day.
Yeah, they absolutely do. And, you know, here we have EVPs. We had some responses through the REM pod that we thought were interesting, something messing with the REM pod.
Yeah.
We have the spirit box that came through a couple of times and said things that were direct responses. So, you know, yeah, middle of the afternoon, you know, middle of a pandemic, and here we've got ghosts wandering around in this
There you
yoga
have it.
studio.
There you have it. Well, everybody, thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm Jeff,
And I'm Linda.
and there's much more to see in the dark, except for when you're doing the
When it's
investigation
light.
during the day.
Right.